Welcome back, Ninja community and persons that want to learn some side basics. Now, I have another video. You should probably go check that out first on some side basics. This video here will be a continuation of that video. Okay, I'll be covering some more positions and some catches and grabs. Okay, so before I get into demonstrating some of the basics of psi and how to use it basically in a real fight, I will go over my quality statement disclaimer, mostly out of liability, and in short is basically at your own risk. So bear with me real quick as I go over this. Okay, the viewer understands my quality statement disclaimer video. Additionally agrees that this video could be treated as is with ballistic protection, which in short means you don't have a seal on it, therefore don't guarantee the techniques and or your application of techniques. And if you're watching this video with the intention of using any of its content in committing a crime, that is a crime. Actually using any of my content in committing a crime is an additional crime. Okay, so in my other video I cover some positions of how to hold it, to check those out, where I break it down more. Go check out my other video. Okay, in this video I will cover an additional way to hold the side. Okay, so from here, here, here. This one was in the other video. So we will cover from this position here. Now, I also mentioned in the other video that the purpose of putting your index finger on the handle is to train to position, to make sure the rest of your hand is in the proper position. Because punching your finger on the side is a good way to get your finger snapped. So, oh yeah, also the viewer understands that this is my intellectual property, then allowing others to view. Okay, so the other position that I'll cover, and I'll also cover a double flip, would be from this position here to here. Okay. Okay, to here. And there's also here. Okay. To get to that position, it mostly comes from this position here. You can also, there's also another reason to put your finger on the handle portion occasionally, is to catch it to do a flip back around. Okay, so let's see. So to demonstrate this one, it just comes from here. You're just pinching it at the thumb as you rotate it around. And much like how the other one was, once you put your finger there, you kind of slide it down. Okay, it doesn't seem to have much context to some people, but when you start getting into more advanced moves, it will eventually have its context. So from this position here, and you should always practice on your non-dominant hand first with just about any weapon, so that when you switch to your dominant hand, you intuitively know the movement more easily. Okay, so you have this position as an added fourth position. You also have a double flip, which is just difficult to do with a small psi. Like, see, this right here, when it comes to picking the right size of a psi, you can easily determine what length. See, this would be like the bare minimum. Holding at the handle, it should come just past here at the elbow, right? Or holding it here, it should still come past the elbow. So even when it's bent, it doesn't quite make that size of a psi of how big this size should be. So, and see, I've had this since I was 13, so this was the correct size for me, the correct size of the psi for me when I was 13. However, I've kind of outgrown them, but I'm going to hang on to these kind of sentimental. But and another thing about the psi is there is no plural by adding an S to the psi. If you say psi, you say one of, two of, three of, four of, five of, or six of. Adding an S to psi does not make it, that is not a correct term. So, it is a psi, whether you have 1, 2, or 3. You could simply say psi. Okay, so the double flip is fairly easy to do. From this position, you're just throwing it around, kind of just hoping it makes it all the way around. There you go. A good bit of momentum, and it flows fairly easily, especially if the correct size of a psi that you're using. Okay, anytime you've learned a new technique, it is always good to practice doing simple movements around once you first learn the technique. Okay, so doing just simple walking forward, right, and walking backwards is where you start. And then once you've done that, you kind of start incorporating some of your footwork of whatever art or form you practice. Okay, so for beginning though, keeping this kind of basic, is just practice walking forward and backward. Now, also there's the other catch. For the other techniques, check out my other video where I break down those movements a little bit more in depth. So this one is covered in this video, where it just goes to here. Again, from here, from this position, right? From this position, it is to here. That is how you would hold there. Okay. And here. So now getting into some catches and grabs and some basic strikes with a psi. In my other video, I cover a proper version of a similar to a boxer's hook, right? If someone might have outstepped them, they would come straight across to here. Again, a real shinobi is going to defend against the psi by usually doing some sort of parrying maneuver, kind of like an outward block, hoping to catch at the handle and snap their finger. For more detail on that, check out the other video. Okay, so catches and grabs with a psi. That is one of the strengths of the psi, is that it typically can bind up opponent's weapons. So once someone has struck your weapon, the other psi is typically what you use to catch their weapon with. So in some basic, a basic catch, one of the most basic catches is from this position to here. So just simply transitioning from here. This could be broken down in sort of like a dance version, but the context is that several different types of weapons could be caught or bound up, right? And the follow-up techniques could vary depending on how it was caught and what weapon it was. But just to practice that movement from here to here. Again, you can, as soon as you learn a new technique, learning to just move forward with it and backwards, right? Or whatever footwork you use, if you're already familiar with your foot. If your footwork is solid, you could build on it. So if you do pivots, that works. If you do circle steps, that works. The follow-up technique of a catch and grab is, of course, following up with a strike. Okay? So from this position, right, as you have caught some weapon that has struck your other weapon, right, from this position, if you can hold the weapon down, you have other strikes that you can do from here. One of them that is practiced is to take the rear weapon and hold the other weapon down and hit them. Okay, so those are some basic strikes, other than, of course, some of the strikes that I covered in the other video. The hook, a poke, right, from here, and here's another training tip. Whenever you are using sai, whenever you're training with the sai, it's always good to wear boots, as you don't want to drop the sai and injure your foot. Okay, so here's that double spin again. Okay, here is that fourth position. Okay, here is that catch and grab. Let's see, here's that catch, grab, strike, and of course, if you hit someone with this, there are pokes and there are different types of strikes with the sai. I suppose I could break some of those down in this video. Okay, so now there is a lot of different ways to hit someone with a sai, but as I mentioned in the other video, I advise against sparring with weapons. But if you don't heed my advice against sparring with real weapons, I suggest that you use training weapons. And of course, eye protection, as in the long run, it would be a lot cheaper than hospital visits. So, here we will cover some more strikes with a sai. Getting into the basic strikes. Okay, depending on the position, we will keep it simple in this video here. We'll start from this position here. Okay, you have a brim shot to the face, you have a hook shot to the side of the head, right? And it looks like this. So a brim shot to the face and a hook to the side of the head, right? So, brim shot, hook, you could punch, you still have the ability to punch. And of course from here, once you have done a brim shot, a hook, and punch to the stomach, you could do an upward movement where you are, so brim shot, hook, punch, and you could hit up underneath the chin. These are all strikes against pressure points. As a real ninja, or real shinobi, is going to be hitting pressure points very, very hard. So if you are doing this, I suggest that you find some invisible, incorporeal ninja somewhere instead of training with a sparring partner. So yes, punching air. Or you use some sort of dummy. Like, if you don't have a dummy, get a tree. Make sure it's your tree. Okay, so, and I'm not condoning violence against nature. Nature will sometimes fight back. So, the basic movements or basic strikes with the sai would be rim shot to the face, and you're hitting near the nose, like right here, just below the nose. Okay, this strike here is coming to just below the ear at the jawline, right? So, rim shot to the face, hook to the side of the head, a punch to the stomach, a hook from under the chin, and from under the chin you're hitting here. The punch to the stomach is typically landing just below the sternum or the xiphoid process. Okay, so those are some basic strikes with a sai. Getting into another position, it typically doesn't change very much. Okay, it is a brim shot to the mouth. It is a hook into someone's, usually down in between the collar, right? Okay, a punch to the stomach and a hook underneath the chin going through the skull. Okay. So if you've watched the video so far, you should probably hit like hard like a ninja and subscribe to be alerted for when I do videos on YouTube. Okay, and I have a Facebook under my artist name or my 10th ninja name, Mel-El, that's M-E-L-E-L. Like, comment, subscribe, share, check out my other videos, and of course, don't forget to hit that bell when you subscribe. So, let's see, more strikes with the sai. Now, changing the position is still the same strikes in that that set that I just handed you here. Okay, so changing the position to here, it is pretty much the same. To here is pretty much the same, right? It is a brim shot to the face. It is a hook to the side of the head at the jawline just below the ear. It is a punch to the stomach. It is a hook from under the chin. And as you get into more advanced strikes, you start to switch as you move. Okay, as just a teaser of some of my next lessons on the side. Okay, so let's see. Catches and grabs, more catches and grabs. Again, I remind you that the sai was modified like back around in the before the 80s, where they added this little tiny hook here to make it look a little bit cool, but also the manufacturers wouldn't sell them as they were because of the horrible training incidences in dojos without putting some safety precaution in them. So as we get into catches and grabs, a missed strike against your opponent, which is the exact same reason that this strike was done accidentally so often in dojos that the manufacturers would not sell these without putting a safety precaution on them. Okay, and if anyone had a training incident after that, they would have to have modified their weapon so that the company could not get any sort of liability from it. So, showing the catches and grabs of sai. Again, people, I remind you not to spar with real weapons. And if you don't heed my advice, I've given some good advice. The safety part of this is just as much of the basics as just learning how to how to basically hold it and transition. Okay, so the very same move that was done accidentally in dojos comes from a missed strike from this position. A missed strike where your opponent has ducked, right? Say your brim shot was going right to their nose. A missed strike at their face, at the nose. If they have ducked lower, or they have ducked and started to come back, and you draw the arm back, it is typically raking across that muscle tissue at the shoulder. Now, done purposefully by a real ninja, that missed strike, if they ducked lower, is to come here and tear downwards as you have grabbed your opponent to work into finishing them off. And I will also get into some disarms, learning disarms and resisting disarms of the sai. This movement here of just practicing this motion against your wrist helps to learn to resist the sai, as well as learning to disarm someone else with the sai. So, and I will get into some other types of movements with the sai in some following videos. So, anyways, share my video with people who are ninja, but not with people who ought to be ninja'd, because they might accidentally learn something. So until next time, my friends, stay ninja.